Hello everyone. I hope you are all doing good and keeping yourself safe. Today we are going to discuss about how to add up colors and text onto a Photoshop image. So first we'll start with the colors. So we are going to open the Adobe Creative Cloud. So from the Creative Cloud, open Photoshop. So depending upon your machine, it takes time, so you have to be patient. Okay, so now the Adobe Photoshop has finally opened, so I'm just going to open a file that I have already downloaded from the internet. So if you have something with you, so you can use that one. Okay, so it is open. So if you look at this image, so you can work on different images. It depends upon what image you have. So here if you look at, okay, I'll choose the swatches panel. Okay, so if you look at over here, if you want to do some changes in the image, okay, so uh, we can either use brush tool, or we can choose clone tool, we can use eraser or the dash tool, depending upon the work that you want to do and your preferences. So it really depends upon the work. Okay, so for this I'm going to choose the brush tool. Okay, so if you look at this picture, so first I'm going to select this. Okay, what type of tool I'm going to choose. Okay, so depending upon your requirement you can choose that. So first I'm going to just see this one. Okay, so from swatches I'm just going to choose the color, okay, for example white. So if you look over here, I have this tool line that I have created. Let me check another one. Okay, so I made the hardness to 100. So if I make the hardness to 0, so can you see the edges are a bit softer as compared to the other. So depending upon your requirement you can select the different options that you can select over here. Okay, so if I'm going to select this one, that will be much better. So see the softness when I increase the hardness, oh sorry, reduce the hardness, you see the edges are a bit soft. Then what I'm going to do is to make you understand is, like, the brush tip is very big, so I have to always select from here and, like, for example, make it and see whether this thing is there or not. Okay, So there's a shortcut that you can use in your laptops or desktop or on your keyboard. You the curly bracket that is next to letter P. So if you can press that one, so it reduces the size, and the next closing of the bracket can extend the size, so you don't have to use every time the same button. So it will be helpful for you to make your work a bit easier. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I have selected this. Okay, so now if I paint this over here, so you see that the paint is being done on top of this flower bud. So how we can blend in, so there's an option that is called opacity. Okay, so you can reduce the opacity, okay, for example 30%. You can click over here on the screen, and now you paint over here. So see the difference that it is blending in on the image rather than this thing. So you can use this option based on the requirement of the image that you are trying to recolor or redo or retouch up, whatever you want to say. So this is a very good thing to play around with the options when you are doing the Photoshop. Okay, so opacity gives a good idea. Now we can work on the mode. It is similar to the layers that we normally done previously, so we can blend in the similar concept is there for layers. So we can blend in the different themes or the modes that are already available. For this one I'm going to choose color. Okay, from here I can choose any color, and now see what happens when I color it over. Okay, opacity I'll make it 100%. So when I color it, so you can see the difference, like it is not coloring it as a flat color, it is applying a tint color on the flower as well. So wherever there is a band, a tint and a slight shade is also available. So you can do this and apply the color on the flower. So there are certain options that you can apply and can make your photo much presentable and good. So depending upon the image and the thing that you are trying to do on the image, it is very useful, these tips and tools that are available in Photoshop. So now I'm going to go back on the file menu and I will choose the option revert. Okay, so it will take the image on the original state, whatever we have done, it will remove those things and it will revert back it to its original place. Okay, so when we are talking about Photoshop, sometimes what happen is we want to make color of an object. So how, say when we click on the revert, now it's back to normal. So now for example I want to color the flower. So but see, flower, this object is a bit big, so we can manage through with the brush tool, but in normal circumstances, but there are some times where the object is not that big enough. If you remember the house and the guy image, over there we had that problem. So how to solve that problem? So you can go to the quick selection tool in the tools panel. Okay, so there's the quick selection tool. Okay, and we just drag the layout on the flower. If you look over here, this thing is out of the boundary of the flower. Okay, so we don't worry that much, or we can use another option. But Okay, for the understanding purpose, it automatically selects some of the part of the flower as an object. Now we can go back to select the brush tool. Okay, so this time I will change it to maybe red color. So now what happen is when you color it, if you go beyond the boundaries of this thing, okay, so can you see this? So when I am going outside the boundary, it will not take it as the color of the flower. So this tool is very helpful when we are playing with the images. I can make it a bit bigger. So now what I'm doing is I'm coloring this flower. So with this one, what happen is the area that is selected, I can only work on that area and color that area. So you can use this tool sometimes. See, when you are dragging and clicking on the object with the selection tool, sometimes it is go beyond the boundary. So in the later stages we can make you understand how to do that one. So but for now time being, this thing makes it handy for you to work with the images. So this is a quick and easy way to select an object and color it, so the color will not go beyond the boundaries of the image. So you can press Ctrl D to deselect it, and your image is ready. You can save this image, and that's good enough for this time being. If you want some other color, you can do that. It's up to you. You can explore different things and so on. Okay, this is the mistake. Okay, so you can search on the different options that are available over here. Okay, so now if you want, you can go to file, save as, and save it in the PSD format, the Photoshop document. Okay, or if you want, you can replace it with this touch up tool. Okay, so brush, and save it. So you can have the file, close it. Okay, now I'm going to open a new picture. Okay, so we are going to understand, okay, the concept of foreground and background. So when we are working on the images, so the foreground controls what color your brush or pencil will be. So in this case, the last example I have already selected over here, that is the red color. So my foreground is red. Okay, so the background color erases any added color and replaces it with the background color. So by default it is white, and the foreground color is by default black. So if you erase on a transparent layer, however, whatever you erase, it will become transparent instead, because you are using the white color. So you can toggle it up. For example, I have already selected the red color on the brush tool. Okay, so the size is too big, so I will make it smaller. If you want, you can use the bigger size. I want it smaller size. So if you look at this, okay, so I will make it normal. Okay, so this is my foreground color. So on the left bottom of your panel, you can switch the foreground colors. So now what happen is my foreground colors becomes white and my background colors become red. So I can blend in this, and depending upon whatever colors, because this image is having different gradient colors, so you will not feel the difference. But if the image is transparent, then you can feel the difference of what are the foreground and background. But this is the option, and if you want to click on the white and black, so the default will be selected. So by default, these are the colors that we have when we are playing with the images. But these are alternative methods, so you can use other color picking tools to change and to do the foreground or background colors on the images. So there are several ways. This is the one way that I have explained it over here, and this is a quick access to the colors that we are working on any image. So other tools that you can use is the eyedropper. Okay, so it will let you select the different colors from your image. So you can select the different color, for example over here, and then you can use the brush for that specific color. So depending upon the image, you can select, for example over here I want this color, so you select the color and then you can use that same color in the images. So there are different tools to work on an image. So this is an example how you can do eye pickup. So this eyedropper tool is one of the method. Okay, so if you want, there are several other methods, whichever suits you best. Double click on the foreground color. So over here you will see different bands of colors available to you. So the first thing is the hue. So depending upon the color and the brightness, okay, so I'm just going to select the hue to light blue. Then the other things are the saturation and the brightness. Saturation works from top to bottom, and brightness works from left to right. So the more bright color you want, so you can select the theme over here. The more saturated, and the hue you can select based on your requirement. So this is one way of selecting the foreground color. So now if I select this thing, so I can color this one over here. The other thing is the swatches over here. You can use these different swatches that are available, so you can choose those one. This is a pastel color, grayscale, and the different options that are available over here, light colors. So the thing is, the recently used one are appeared on the top of the swatches. There's another method that you can use, is you can click on over here, color, the same thing that we have done previously on the foreground color. When we double click on here, so from here you can add the color of the foreground image. Same you can do it over here. So if you cannot see those options, so you can select it over here, and from here you can select those things which are required for you. So these are the different ways, whichever you feel convenient or comfortable, you can choose any of the method. And if you don't want to save the image, just close it over here. No, or if you want to save it, it depends upon you. If you are comfortable with the image changes, you can do that. Okay, so now we are going to add some text on an image, and we are going to look into the different options and the layer techniques when adding text on an image. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to open an image file. Okay. So I'll open a file. Okay, so now I'm going to add some text on my image. So I'll be choosing horizontal type tool. Okay, so on the top of the toolbar menu, you can see the different type of options that we can choose for this text. So we can add different options. We can use different options, like for example, what is the text that we want to add up over here. Okay, so you can, by default it is selected like this. So if you know the font size, you can type in, so it will show the possible options that will be available to you. So for example, I'll choose this one, type Times New Roman bold. I can select this option. So by default it is selected point 12. So if you want a bigger font size, so you can select that. So if you want a sharp, but because the image size is big, so that will not affect the font overall. It will be when the image will be printed, so it will be uh, a very sharp text. From here you can select. Okay, so from here you can choose the color, as we already discussed about the color picker previously. Okay, so you can double click on it, or you can select it from over here. So I need, for example, white, so I will select it over here, press OK. Okay, so I can type the text, for example, ABC till ring. Okay, I don't need this. Okay, so after doing this, now you have seen that another layer has been added. That means the text layer has been added to your image. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to select the move tool. Okay, so as long as your layer is selected, you can try to move the text wherever you want on the image. For example, I want it over here, for example. Okay, so please remember that the layer should be selected before you can do some editing or altering on an image. So similarly, if you want to add some more text, okay, I'll choose in horizontal text again. Okay, so I will move its position, for example, over here. Okay, so now this time I'm going to select a little bit smaller size, for example 18, and this is so 18, I think, is a smaller size, so I can now 30, I think. Okay, background color same. Okay, that's fine. Now I can write press enter. Okay, so what I have done is I have given some, so if you select the layer and then you can move the text wherever you think that it is fine, you can do that. Okay, so double click, I want it to be center aligned, and again I'm going to use the move tool. Okay, so it seems like small. so I'll make 36, so is much more visible. So these are some techniques you can use. You can add horizontal text or vertical text depending upon your requirement. Now you have to save the file, so for that you have to use save as. Okay, so it will be asking you to save the file in Photoshop or .psd format, and please remember that these layers have been checked or clicked, because later on if you want to do some editing, so you can able to do it. If you save it in as .jpg, then you will not be able to do that. So please remember that, please edit, save it in .psd format, so it will be easier for you. Now we are same, so it will be easier for you to do some changes afterward if you are not happy with the way the image is looking. Okay, so we have done some type layers over here. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to close this one. So I'm going to open the PSD file that we have created. Okay, so now we are going to add some more text. Okay, so for example, this text is available that we have added on our image, but sometimes we need some paragraph form. So for that you have to click on your shift key and drag and drop the, so this is what we have. So this is the default text that is being available to us. So if you are not happy with this, please click on this cancel button, so it will remove the work that we were doing. Okay, so select the text, shift, so you can see this the text box that has been created over here, and I want to change the location, for example over here. Okay, so once you are done, you can click on over here. So what happened over here is it wraps the text by itself when you are doing it. So if for example I will, if you're not going to use the shift key, then it will resize it. Okay, so I'm going to move this over here, for example this one. Now I will double click over here. So see, with this one what we are going to do, we are just resizing the text in from 4 or 5 lines to 3 lines to 2 lines or 1 line, depending upon your. Once you are done, click on this tick mark and we can place it over here. So this is another way of making the paragraph. So once you are done, or you want to change the size of the font, you can do that. So just okay, if you are happy with the position, for example over here, still okay, that's looks okay, much better. So I'm going to save it. So this is how you can add up the paragraph. Okay, there are some other options that you can explore. For example, if I want to change the color of the text, okay, so I'll just go over here. So there's one option that is only web colors, so it gives me lesser amount of choice to choose the colors from. So for example, these are the web colors. Let's go over here. So I'll press OK. So these are the options that you can explore and it can be easily viewable on the web. I'm now going to save it and I will close this file. So this is how we add different types of text layers or type layers on an image, and then we can change or do the alteration. So based on that, if you have selected this, so you can do some selection. If you want some changes, for example, I will like fine tailoring, I accept it, and so on. So you can save it with Control S as well, the shortcut, and then you can close it. Okay, so now I'm going to open the same file to show you different options, like we have done the type layer. So other than type layer, we also have the rounded rectangle. So when you, for example, click and drag and drop over here, so here you will get the options of um, and the properties of the rounded rectangle. So now I can change, if you hover around there over here, so if you look at it, so I can make it more round. Okay, and I can add some text. So these are called shape layers. So over here I can click over here on text and I can put some text over here, and I can change the font of the text, for example 18. Okay, sorry, I made the mistake. Okay, so I will remove that color. So from the color picker, for example, I choose black, or I can choose some other color. And the interesting thing, for example, over here is when you drag your color picker to any of the image section, you can select the color from there as well. So you can see whatever like text you can put over here. Then we have the opacity option. So if I want to change the opacity, so you can select it over here for the text. Okay, same when you double click on the blue icon or whatever the shape that you have created. Okay, so you can select the color of that box, and you can also change the opacity of that. So if you look at it over here, what I have done, I have created another shape, rounded shape layer over here, and I have changed the background, and then I have put some text based on whatever my liking. Then I will go to edit. Now you can see that free transform path is available, so I can move, change or transform it. If I double click over here on the text and I'll make it over here. So this transformation tool, if you look how much bigger, if you press the shift key, so you can see aligning the objects. Okay, so it looks to the nearby objects in the image, it selects by itself, so it will help you. If you press OK, it will select that thing. So this is how you can select, or you can work on the rounded tools, and you can play with other options in the Photoshop. So you can go and explore the things by yourself, and it will help you understand things much better. Okay, so that's it for now. Please try to save the file so it will retain all the layers, so later on when you are going to work on it, so it will be easier for you. Take care and stay safe and stay healthy. Thank you.